Hi everyone and welcome back. It's been a long time since I last posted. A lot of stuff has happened. I've moved house, I'm settled pretty much. I was reading through the comments on a few of my videos the other day and I just realised how supportive and lovely everyone is. I'd already decided to start again before I read that, but now it's given me that motivation to come back because it seemed that you guys really enjoyed my videos. Going forward, I want this channel to be more of a talking channel. I just want it to be a relaxing place to come to when you're feeling a bit stressed and you want to hear me talk about something interesting. Today, I'm going to be talking about what it is to be an HSP. An HSP meaning highly sensitive person. So grab yourself a hot cup of tea or coffee or an iced coffee, anything that you enjoy drinking, and let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the trait and what you can do to help yourself. If I start with negative first, because I just want to get that out of the way. I don't know about anybody else who has this, but I get overwhelmed really easily over things that other people wouldn't necessarily get overwhelmed by. So if I give you an example, I bought a coffee machine shortly after we moved into this house and I was really excited about it and I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on one. So this was in the range of like 300 quid, you know? Anyway, I loved using it the first few times of using it, and then I found out that it has this thing where the rubber thing falls off if you are frothing your milk and you slightly move it. So this happened quite a few times, and when it falls off, the steam goes right into the milk and then it just goes absolutely everywhere. A few times of that happening, I had a little bit of a meltdown and I was going to return it, but it's too much hassle than it's worth. So I've kept it and I've just told myself that I'm not going to move it when I froth the milk. But my point is that normal people wouldn't be overwhelmed by this kind of thing, but for me, I kind of let it build up in my head. So this trait of being overwhelmed, it can really happen anywhere. It can happen in your personal life, at work. It can happen due to things building up, whether this is just one thing happening over and over again, or things that are building on top of each other. Or it can really happen in the moment and you just didn't know it was going to happen until it did. Whatever the case, it is unfortunately a trait of many HSPs, just because we are that extra sensitive and alert all of the time, and this sensitivity can get us more upset than we want to be. So the second negative trait as an HSP that I have experienced personally is that I take things super personally. This doesn't matter if the person who is talking to you means what they say. When I was at uni, there was a girl who I lived with in second year, and my music taste has always been, I'd say it's mostly indie with a bit of folk and pop. At the time, I loved listening to she and him, but one day this housemate did mock my taste in music. It was just a passing comment about my taste being folky, and the way she said it, I guess it came across as this is a negative thing, not, oh, like you like that kind of music. This really affected me, this comment, and it has stayed with me for the longest time, obviously until now, and that was what, since 2015, 16. I guess for anybody else who isn't an HSP, this wouldn't be something they would take necessarily to heart, because people have an idea of themselves and what they're interested in. And I don't know if this is a separate thing entirely about maybe me not being really, maybe at the time not being really strong in myself and who I was as a person and what my tastes were, but I think it is partly due to being an HSP, because being highly sensitive makes you quite vulnerable to others' opinions, and it can make you doubt your own tastes. Now, I do not care, but at the time, obviously when I was a 19, 20-year-old, it's something that did affect me. If I had any advice for someone who gets quite affected by what other people say to them or about them, I would really urge them to look within themselves, but also look at the person that's saying those things and understand why they may be saying that, because they could be just as vulnerable or more so. Otherwise they wouldn't be criticizing you in the first place. So number 3 is a biggie, and that is avoiding confrontation. So I'm the kind of person who, in all elements of their life, likes to be that helpful person and always wants to think of a solution for someone and to just to help them. And I've recently got a new job, but every day that I've gone in, I've always been that really helpful person. I didn't realise this, but it was starting to annoy a couple of people in the team, and this had been reported to a manager higher up. One day I came into the office and I was being just myself. My superior said to me that I am a level below her and that she knows what she's doing and she doesn't need my help. And this conversation happened about 3 times in the period of about 10 minutes or so. And throughout the whole ordeal, I was quite calm and collected. I must have obviously got a bit red because I take things very, very personally, obviously. And I have rosacea, so whenever something embarrassing happens or I'm put on the spot, I do get really red on my cheeks, on my chest. Apart from that, I think I did a good job at just staying calm. So I spoke to my manager at the time, and that is when I found out these 2 superior people went to her to report my behaviour. And I found this just absolutely bizarre. I called my friend about it. This shows that instead of confronting that person in the moment, I went straight to my manager. And I do feel a bit like I've let myself down. Like I'm disappointed in myself slightly because I didn't stick up for myself when I should have. But at the same time, when you're in that situation and you've just started a new job, you don't want to be that person that causes the problems. Things are a lot better than they were. That particular person is now being nice again, and I think they realise that they did screw up in that situation. I guess the silver lining of this event is that it shows the HSP is quite a peaceful personality type. All I can say is that if the situation were more severe, then I definitely would act differently. But I feel that if something similar were to happen, then I would probably act the same as I did. Okay, so let's get on to positive stuff now, because I feel like that was a lot to deal with. The first positive thing that an HSP gets to experience is amazing emotions. I guess the negative quickly of this point is that when someone has a bad week, an HSP will have a disgustingly awful week, and HSPs are more prone to depression and anxiety. I would highly recommend reading the book The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine N. Aron. That book has taught me a lot about myself, and that is one of the reasons I want to talk about it on this channel. So similar to experiencing really intense negative emotions, if someone has a good week, then HSPs will have an incredible week. We can feel on top of the world. Similarly, I don't know if this affects other people out there, but maybe being highly sensitive as well. The effects of alcohol on me are a lot more intense than other people. As a child as well, I remember going on holiday a lot, and I get an intense feeling of nostalgia when I think of those times, because I just loved going abroad and experiencing different cultures, and that feeling of euphoria just stays with me to this day, and I cannot wait until I get to experience those kind of things again on a yearly basis. Another positive thing, interesting thing that HSPs do often have is that we can know when someone is feeling a certain way without them necessarily showing it or saying it. They will give off little hints here and there in their body language, in their facial expressions, that maybe other people might not pick up. But because we are incredibly sensitive to that kind of thing and observant, we do pick it up. So a negative spin on this is that because we can pick up on the emotions of others a lot more easily, it often means that we feel what other people are thinking as well. It can be quite draining to feel how someone is feeling, but I am very grateful for that. One, because you can pick up on positive emotions as well. So if my partner is happy about something, I genuinely feel that in my heart. If my best friend is happy about something, I will feel that, and I would never give that up because that is an incredible feeling. I think it's better than feeling happy within myself. The second reason I'm grateful for this is because I am incredibly passionate about mental health, and knowing how someone is feeling, you have this incredible power, this tool to help someone when they may not necessarily feel like they can reach out and ask for help. It is definitely something that can be harnessed, and I think should be used if it doesn't drain you too much. You kind of have to balance it out a little bit and make sure that you are taking care of yourself first. The third positive aspect of being an HSP is that we have this incredible ability to think deeply about life and its meaning. I have always been incredibly interested in philosophy and history and science and religion, and the role religion plays in providing an element of hope and meaning of our lives in the universe. It is something that grounds me. It makes me incredibly humble and thankful for the life that I'm able to experience. It makes me grateful for the choices that I've made in my life to get to where I am now. Oftentimes I have let this get in the way of me enjoying the present moment, but I can now say that I do enjoy the present moment a lot more than I used to, and at the same time I do look forward to the future as well. To close this video, I want to give you a few tips on how to face the negative elements of being an HSP. So the first one is about getting overwhelmed. The top tip I could give you for this is just don't let things build up in your head, because this is often how it can happen. I know I said that things can often happen in the moment and it's not necessarily something that's been in your head for a long time, but if you just find a way, whether that's journaling, writing stuff out on a bit of paper and just like ripping it up, it's like ripping that paper tells your mind that you can't think about that anymore, you can't worry about that anymore. When you are experiencing something that you're feeling overwhelmed by and you're in that moment, just think, is this going to matter in 5 years' time? And if it's not, then just let it go. Picture yourself in the future and think about how minuscule this moment was in your life. As with taking things personally, I would urge you to think about that person and put yourself in their shoes. Understand where they're coming from, if they have a point. If they don't have a point, then try and understand why they could be saying what they're saying. Even empathizing with that person, because if you imagine if they're critical of other people, and as we often say, you are your worst critic, imagine how critical they are going to be to themselves. Even thinking of yourself as the bigger man, that can often help, because you have rised above it and you haven't let it get to you. Just knowing that you're not that kind of person that would say those types of things to another person should be enough for you to let it go. So confrontation, I find it really hard to give advice on this, but I'm going to try because I need to get better at it as well. I would say that if you are in a situation where you feel like you are being attacked or someone is being aggressive to you, do what feels comfortable to you. Try and stay calm and collected throughout, and be yourself as well, but also stand your ground. But stand your ground in a way that doesn't make you feel like you have to do a lot, and try to put on a little bit of a front or a shield. And if you picture this in your mind, this could help you as well, because you do deserve to look after yourself, because you don't deserve to be talked to in a certain way. You are a human and you have rights, and people should be held responsible for their actions. I hope you have enjoyed this video. It's my first one back, so maybe it's a little bit rusty, but I just wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about the trait that I have, and I'm sure a lot of you watching this will have the same thing because you have clicked on this video. From HSP to HSP, I just feel like we owe it to ourselves to know that we have just as much rights as anybody else to do what we want in our lives and to be treated fairly. As Elaine says in her book, we should be celebrated because we are the wise, level-headed people that society needs right now. So just really know that in your heart. That is a really good thing to possess. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you when I next post.